Welcome everybody to week 5. This week we're going to move from our focus and looking at a few relationships and how to show up there with generosity to the show your work element of this. We're going to look at Twitter lists and how you can show up in groups as well. So let's start with Twitter lists. I'm going to take you through this process step by step and then explain how they connect to the show your work and the sort of collaborate out loud approach that we've been taking. So this is my screen. So if you start right at the left and you go onto your Twitter profile, you'll then see this drop-down menu. So if you go to lists, and I've highlighted it there, you then get two options. So we're in the middle image now. Either lists that you've subscribed to or lists that you're members of. Now, other people can create lists and automatically make you a member. So these are lists where other people have invited me to become members. And you can also subscribe to lists. But if you go down to the blue icon at the bottom, and again, I put an arrow next to it and click on that, you then get to this page here, which enables you to create a list. So the first thing to do is name it. And the obvious thing might be to use the hashtag that you've been working on. So I've called mine self-management, not surprisingly. You've then got an option to either make it private or public. So if you make it public, it means that it will turn up on your feed that you've just created that list. So I preferred to make mine private. So I've therefore clicked the private button that says I'm the only person who can access it. Then you go to members. So you have an opportunity to create members and you simply then type in the Twitter name of somebody that you're following. So again, you can go back to the 5 or 6 people that you're really paying attention to, or create a much bigger list of 5, 10, 15, 20 or more. So I've started with the ready. I just started typing it in the banner there, and then you can see that it jumped up underneath there. I then clicked on it and then it appears in my members list there. So the next one is the second one on my list, which is Corporate Rebels. And as you can see, I've clicked on that, it's turned up, I've then clicked on it, and that means that it's automatically got added. So now I've got 2 members, Corporate Rebels and the Ready. And if I then come out of this and click done and go back to my profile and then click on lists again, it will then, and go under subscribe to, it comes up with this self-management. It says it's a private list and it's got 2 members. Now, obviously, I would have then added a lot more members, so I'm going to get up to about 20 or 30. But what that enables you to do, and why this is so important, is it then means you can click on tweets. So any tweets that mention Corporate Rebels or mention the Ready, or they've tweeted themselves, automatically turn up here. And for me, this makes it the easiest way to create a habit every morning or afternoon, to go onto my lists, to have a quick look at the tweets from the people who share my passion, who share the interest in self-management, who have added to my list. And therefore, I can easily respond to them or follow the blogs that they're reading or comment. So I found this one of the easiest ways of making this a habit and automatically looking at the people who are on your list. Now let's look at show your work, and I want to give you 3 easy ways to get started. Before we go there, I know that we initially had a conversation about working out loud, which is the term that John Stepper has trademarked, and broadly it covers the earlier work that we were looking at of having a focus, then identifying people who are connected to that focus, and then showing up with generosity and thinking about where your relationship is with them now. And then there's another body of work that's really been pioneered by Austin Kleon and Jane Bozart, which is show your work. And this happens not in the context of those relationships, but is really just showing up every day and sharing a bit of the work that you're doing. So I think these approaches, although they're combined by John in Working Out Loud, are actually quite distinct approaches. One is a focus on relationships and building those, almost like the new networking. And this one is about showing up and sharing your work and essentially seeing who might be interested in connecting with you. So 3 easy ways to get started are sharing what you're reading, sharing from events that you're going to or you're at, and groups. And I've asked my colleague Bethan to share some work with us around how to show up in Facebook groups and other groups, and we'll be sharing that with you later. So here, a really, really easy way to get started is sharing learning from an event you're at. So next time you're at an event, see what the hashtag is, or tweet quotes from the presenters, or take photos from the presenters, or even go as far as, and what I've done here is taken a quote and a photo and put them both together using word swag. So an easy way to get started of showing up is just being a bit more focused on sharing learning from an event. The other thing you can do is simply share with people what you're reading. And you'll see here, Ed does this brilliantly, uses a lot of hashtags and photos of the books as well, and then shares quotes from the books or takes photos from a page in the book and says why he's interested in it. So again, a really, really easy way to get started with showing your work. And actually what you're doing here and with the event is showing what you're interested in. So if you're already doing that and you want to be a bit bolder, then next steps could be sharing work in progress, or starting blogging, or starting video blogging or films about your work. And here's a few examples. So this is what I've been doing in LinkedIn, is sharing where I'm up to with things and asking for people's comments and ideas. So again, you're not presenting yourself as an expert. You say, here's something that I'm exploring. What do you think? And as you'll see, I've copied in Jenny Pitts there, who I was working directly with. So you're also connecting to other people who are doing the work. And you'll see at the bottom there, I've also linked this to Brian Frisby, Martin Routledge, and Sean, because they're specifically connected in these areas, and I was interested in their comments. So that's one thing, using Twitter or particularly LinkedIn to share with people what you're developing or thinking about. The next thing is doing films, and I've been doing weekly films for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in September, actually, talking about what I'm up to, what I'm learning, what's going well and what's not going so well. And I try and keep them to under 2 minutes, although this was just 48 seconds, which is good. And I do it simply by having my iPhone on a stand and doing it that way. So really simple to do. And although it does take some practice, and it took me a long time to be brave enough to make most of them just in one take, but I recommend doing that if you feel up to it. And then the other thing is blogging, either directly on LinkedIn, as this is, or creating your own blog site is another way to do that. And my final encouragement, and this comes from Austin Kleon's book, is to put yourself and your work out there every day, and you'll meet some amazing people. So again, a different focus here. So seeing who you'll meet by sharing your work, as opposed to the earlier work we were doing, which is have a focus and identify who you want to connect with, and then go and find them. So similar vision and purpose around showing up and connecting with people, but 2 very different ways of getting started. So my invitation to you is to go up in your small groups, back into your small groups. I'm laughing because I know this isn't really what happens, but I put this here just in case it's still useful. And it's still helpful to think about roles of facilitator and timekeeper. And then finally, we're moving towards our last session next week. And I'm going to invite you to explore some ways to take this further. And I'm going to specifically invite you to explore the 12-week Working Out Loud course or program that John offers. And I'm hoping that Simon might share a bit more about that. Thank you.